And David, it's amazing I'm in this role with you. I just can't pass your guard. One day you got me inside control. The next day it's on bars. We are the Leg Kick Podcast for at least half of our recording quartet. A quartet.
Yeah.
We're going with that. We're a recording quartet. I'm coming to you in 180p from New Jersey, the beautiful state of New Jersey. Yeah, to Pena. And Mike's coming at you in 1080p from Toronto.
Just like the state of our two cities. Sorry. Yeah, it would be.
The city of New Jersey, right, Mike?
No. Yeah.
Great city of New Jersey.
Nailed it. Yeah, it's a toilet anyway. It's all that's the.
I apologize to the great people and great state of New Jersey. Only some of you is a toilet.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're the Leg Kick Podcast. I'm Stefano, Hosko, soon to be pro MMA fighter, soon to be dictator of New Jersey. In time, nothing's been signed on anybody's end yet. Although I have confirmed my involvement in my first professional fight. So we'll talk about that more as time goes on. But you know. The real news here is Michael Asiffo wearing a hat and a jacket inside. Mike,
I'm going out later.
Are you in an ongoing battle with your dad over the thermostat? Is that what's going on?
Man, it is so cold in this room. I gotta say, like it gets down pretty wild.
Do you guys have fistfights in your house over the thermostat? Is that true of African families, or is that all families that have fights over thermostats? Like, you know. My mom and dad would always be in a constant battle over, like, it's 20 degrees. I said it's a 19, like, you know.
I'll say this just for whatever reason. I think it's because my room is under the garage. It's just not getting any warmth. Just none.
That is a bit of a pickle. And I'm guessing you're north facing too, are you not?
Yes.
Well, now that we've lost half of our audience with this mundane conversation, subscribe to the podcast.
Talk some fights.
Yeah, subscribe to the podcast. Share. I'm pointing as if we have a graphic down below because that's what you do. Like Ricky Bobby said, I don't know what to do with my hands. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends about it. Tell your coworkers about it. Tell your mortal enemies about it. Tell the dictator of Turkmenistan about it. We all know he's an asshole. He could use a little leg kick in his life. So spam the dictatorship of Turkmenistan with links to the Leg Kick Podcast.
Yeah.
Mike,
you know you're bad. Like, I gotta just say this about Turkmenistan. You know you're bad when you give Vladimir Putin a gift, and he has to hold the dog the right way and is rushing over to like get it off of your grubby hands.
Oh yeah, I mean. He was picking up the dog by the skin of the neck. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my God.
The capital of Turkmenistan, whose name I forget, has been described as part Las Vegas, part Pyongyang, North Korea. And I think that's hilarious. Like, it's this country of, you know, starving steppe people whose government refuses to invest in them. Meanwhile, their capital is just like white marble and statues of horses and, like, you know, massive stadiums that don't get used. God, if it weren't for all the human suffering, I would love it because they're just hilarious. They're comedy fodder.
Terrible.
It's terrible, but you know, when one neurotic man with a Napoleon complex takes control of an entire country and economy and military, you know, it makes for some hilarious, if not macabre outcome. You know?
For sure. Well, enough about dictatorships. Are we ready for a?
Believe it or not, we're an MMA podcast.
Yeah.
So let's rattle through some news, shall we? We've got big fights to talk about. The last pay-per-view of the year, with some shocking results, some not so shocking results, and and we will get into that. But before we do, let's get into some news, shall we? Yeah. Roll it, Mike. Let's get into the news and views of the week. Ooh, elbow. Didn't say that there, did you? Didn't see that elbow, did you? Did you, little guy? All right. So,
What you got
first up, there's been some talk, and there's no official announcement yet. So let's just give this 2 sentences each, or else we're going to be here for a decade and a half. Kayla Harrison looks like she's making her way to the UFC.
I've heard, and I'm excited, but I don't know who she's going to face because.
Can she make 45? Has she made 45? Will she make 45?
That's the question.
After, I think I would have been, I'm still excited for it, but the signing of her would have taken on more significance if this weekend hadn't happened. But we'll get into that. We will. We're trying not to address the elephant in the room here. It's somebody's alcoholic uncle has joined the Christmas party, and we're not mentioning it. We don't want to mention how he's tearing this family apart. Also, end of year leg kick special. What do you say, Mike?
Yeah, let's do it. Man, we're gonna probably do a nice awards show kind of thing going on. So
yeah, we'll do our own awards show. There'll be drinks. Mike will get drunk with us. It'll be you'll get drunk on air. Shut up, Mike. Mike, shut up, Mike. Mike doesn't have agency over his own body. We've claimed it. Anyways, Mike will do heroin live on air if we get to it. In other news, Conor McGregor said something. Is that not half of like MMA journalism sites today? In news, Conor McGregor said something. Nate Diaz barely coherently responded. Conor McGregor responded back.
Oh man, like in fairness, as much as the MMA kind of landscape has kind of been more active and less kind of underground due to kind of like more events and just like the invention of Twitter. News is very hard to come by because the UFC is very insular and it's the premier promotion.
We need independent journalism that's calling the strings, that isn't afraid to take pot shots. But Luke Thomas talks pretty extensively about this. It's not as simple as we'd like to make it out to be. Like, of course, he's discussed how you want real topics. Well, people don't click on that shit. They don't click on fighter pay. They don't click on PEDs. They don't click on What are you gonna do? But
which is another topic with this whole Dominic Cruz and DC thing. I don't know if you're going to get into it. I don't want to step on your toes.
Okay, we can get into that. I just want to cover a few more things because I know we're both going to have something to say about this. Mm-hmm. I think our viewpoints will align. I wish David was on because he'd say some shit and we'd laugh. But next up, are you aware of a promotion called Eagle FC, Mike?
Yes, Khabib Nurmagomedov's promotion.
Well, they made a couple of interesting signings. First of all, I don't know who he's going to be facing, but Rashad Evans is returning at Eagle FC, which I think is an absolutely horrible decision. Horrible decision, because I don't know if you've heard Rashad speak lately. Rashad has always been a very eloquent man, I think. Like, I've always enjoyed his analysis of fights. I enjoyed him as a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. Hell, I enjoyed him as a competitor as well. He's very much someone who
he thinks 2 steps ahead usually. He's kind of that guy. Yeah.
He's a mind. And I think when he was with the Black Zillions, now Sanford MMA, he really was in a role of, team leader, kind of part coach, part fighter, I always viewed. And to see him return, I think, is that time-old argument of, that fire inside that never really dies, that
it could be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Precisely. Oh, I didn't see you there. Hi, David. Wow. David, what time is it, my man? No, serious question. What time is it?
It's according to CPT, It is 4:20 on the dots.
No, it's 5:20.
Oh shit.
Well, we're ready to wrap this baby up. Mike, you got any closing thoughts
Well,
on the podcast?
Well, in this crazy mixed up world
where David comes an hour and a half late to our podcast. So, not just that, but in the speaking of Eagle FC, we're just talking about Khabib's promotion and how they signed Rashad Evans, which is sad. But they made another signing. There's a matchup at heavyweight in Eagle FC, January 28th in Miami. Tyrone Spong versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva.
I don't mind this one.
Mike, did you see what Antonio Bigfoot Silva versus Rico Verhoeven looked like?
Yeah,
did you
terrible.
see that? You saw that, right? Okay, all right.
But okay.
The signing of this fight should be declared a war crime under the Geneva Convention.
I mean, it is Eagle FC, right? Look it.
Fuck you, Florida. First of all, sorry, before you say anything, I just want to say fuck you, Florida. Fuck you. Yeah. Go on, Mike.
No, I will say this, though. Like, Rashad Evans, that one is terrible. I think that's a train wreck. It depends, like, I don't know how they're going to use him in the sense of, are they going to do this kind of, like, there's a couple promotions who do this kind of gentleman's agreement. You shake hands with another kind of aging legend, and you guys get in there and have kind of a glorified sparring match.
You think Tyrone Spong is an aging legend?
No. Hold on. I'm talking about Rashad Evans right now.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah. Right? So I don't know who they're going to pair him up with. Like, if they're going to pair him up against some hungry young lion and Rashad's going to go in there and get fed to the wolves, okay, that's terrible. But if they're going to kind of do this thing, like, for example, I remember, I can't remember the promotion, but it was here in Canada. And I think Nabil Khatib was running it. And they had him face Nick. Why is the name escaping me? But they basically had two legends of the Canadian MMA scene go up against each other, and they had a glorified sparring match. It wasn't anything serious. If they can do that, then I can see a world where this could be a good signing. Rashad,
I don't think Rashad wants to do that, though, frankly.
That's
like,
fair.
It's not like we're talking he's a 50-year-old Evander Holyfield or 60-year-old Evander Holyfield. This is someone who was fighting and competing up until not that long ago. Hold on, we got some dogs barking. I'm sorry, I don't think we're giving enough attention to this Tyrone Spong and Silva situation.
Because, okay,
if I may, in his last 8 bouts, he does not have a single win. Mm-hmm. In that time, he has been TKO'd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Okay, since 2013, he has 1 win over Soa Paleli. Okay, in that space, May of 2013, knocked out by Cain Velasquez. A no contest in a war against Mark Hunt because he was using steroids. Knockout to Andrei Arlovski. Knockout loss to Frank Mir. Gets that win over Soa Paleli. Knockout loss to Mark Hunt. Knockout loss to Stefan Struve. Knockout loss to Roy Nelson. He lost a decision then to Ivan Shirtov. Then he got knocked out by Vitaly Minikov. Then he got knocked out by Rico Verhoeven. Most recently, he got knocked out by Gabriel Gonzalez in a bare knuckle match. And then he was knocked out by Quinton Domingos in Magadan Fighting 9. A 5-2. Quinton Domingos, who is a 5-2 heavyweight out of Portugal. Well, Mike, any comments?
And he's fighting Tyrone Spong, the same Tyrone Spong who knocks people up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, this is a squash match. This is a squash match.
This is a war crime, Mike.
Yeah, it's terrible. You know what? Yeah, no, I didn't realize it was that bad for Bigfoot. Like, man, I didn't realize. It goes to show you kind of the blind spots of MMA sometimes, because I didn't even know, like, I didn't realize Bigfoot Silva fought that much since and was doing that poorly since, to be honest. So yeah. Damn.
And this is Tyrone Spong, who's been boxing most recently and has won 14 boxing fights in a row.
Yeah, no, this is
And was supposed to box Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, Alexander.
Yeah,
so.
Because turns out Tyrone Spong is actually, in addition to an incredible kickboxer, a world-class boxer who has been winning boxing fights left, right, and center.
You know what, though? I saw that coming because in his kickboxing career, he was a very boxing-heavy kind of fighter. So it was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. But now I guess he's gonna try MMA and put Bigfoot Silva out to pasture. But I know what Eagle FC is doing. They're getting names to put asses in the seats. And if there's one thing developing country fans like, or
Eagle FC is based out of Florida, I just want to say. So in saying that, you're correct in calling it a developing country.
I thought, you know what? I honestly thought it was like in Dagestan.
I assumed so as well, but Eagle FC is taking place in Florida.
Really interesting. Okay, never mind. Now I'm gonna take back because the WWE did this with I can't remember where, but basically there's like, no, was it Afghanistan or Pakistan?
Saudi Arabia.
I can't remember. Oh, is it Saudi Arabia? Never mind. But like
Almost
basically what they'll do is they'll basically put in all the old names for nostalgia purposes to put asses in the seats because that's what international countries like. So I assume because it's Dagestan, they're going to do the same strategy because nostalgia pops, big name, international stars. But
look, man, if we were talking about Boomy came to say hi. If we were talking about Bigfoot Silva against some up and coming 5-2 heavyweight, which he lost to in his last fight, by the way, we'd be having a different conversation, albeit one where I'm saying people need to stop booking Bigfoot Silva for fights. Mm-hmm. But this is obviously several orders of magnitude worse. I'm sorry, I'm going to be sick to my stomach. Can we move on to the next piece of news?
Yeah, please. Yes, please.
Next up, and I suppose we'll finish on this because I don't feel like talking about Michelle Waterson's fight. In more important, relevant news, Tyson Fury's younger brother out of his fight with Jake Paul. Tyron Woodley is in the fight with Jake Paul.
Yes, the rematch that the people not only wanted, but they needed. They needed this rematch.
It's good for them, right, David? It's good for them. It's good for them.
Yeah, honestly. First of all, Tyson Fury's younger brother. What was his name?
Tommy.
Paulie?
No.
Paulie Fury, he's played by Danny DeVito.
Hilarious. Yeah. I mean, what's there to say? Soft pulling out rib infection? Joke. No. And also,
you're right, David. Pulling out is for the weak.
Yeah. Hey. Hey. Moving on.
Boomy agrees, right, bud?
Get through it, David.
Right, bud?
Oh, yeah, Tyron Woodley seems really convinced that he's going to land he's going to get a KO this time, which should be interesting. I don't know. There was really nothing based in that last fight that said that he has what it takes to knock out Jake Paul. I think.
Well, he nearly did knock him out. And at one point in the fight,
shots, but I don't know if you could say he was really in danger at any point, or not. I'm not saying danger, but he wasn't on the ropes or anything.
He was literally, David. He was literally on the ropes. He was not just figuratively. He was literally on the ropes.
I can't remember what happened in the fight.
There's this infamous photo of Jake Paul doing this
on the ropes. David, I hope you're better prepared to talk about the card, though.
I definitely am.
Anyways, we don't have to talk about that fight. It was.
I'm done.
The circus. I don't care. I frankly do not care. Jake Paul obviously can box decently for sure. Tyron Woodley is so washed that it is, line up.
It's almost sad, because I like.
No,
Tyron.
It is sad.
No, the reason why it's not it doesn't go into the threshold of sadness for me is because. Okay, I'm I'm gonna try to pick my words nicely because we gotta move on.
In 2
Tyron
sentences or
Woodley
less.
refuses to throw punches in combination when he obviously can, and he
Or throw punches in general.
huh?
Or throw punches
or
at all.
punches in general, and he
Sounds like a problem for a
refuses.
boxing match, but
Yeah, and he refuses to grow. Right, as like if he wants to do this, he refuses to grow and evolve, and add on skills. So it's like for me, it's like one of those things where it's like,
He's like, he's like, okay, what are the key skills involved in winning a boxing match? Throwing punches? I don't need that. I got this.
It's like, you can lead a horse to water, but it's up to the horse if they want to drink. So I'm not.
Which is why I think it's sad, But anyways, let's.
He's almost 40. Oh, okay, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I feel like there's probably an MMA on point video about this. Lots of fighters are washed past their prime. Show an unrelated clip of something. Of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or some shit like that.
Yeah. Pointing to the board.
Yeah, exactly. Some of these fighters fight well past their prime, It's the trash man scene with Danny DeVito in the background. All right. So, wow. Okay, David. We're getting into this. I know you'll have something to say about this. I know I'm going to have something to say about this. What a card. What a fight.
Hold on.
I am so shocked that this happened.
I am not going to allow you guys to not use the very, very cheap transitions that were made expertly.
Do you mean cheap, not in their quality, but in the sense that I got them free?
I should make this very, very
Are you
clear.
insulting Lucas Renzo Giovanetti? Because I'll send him out here to whoop your ass, Mike.
Which he absolutely can do. But I'm saying, sorry. I didn't pay a cent.
Okay, transition.
Yes, transition.
Ding, ding.
Jesus Christ, Mike.
Your fight-winning speech, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, for fuck's sakes, Mike. We didn't come here for you to take over, okay? We came here for you to take part.
Or on the right, okay?
I don't care. I don't care if you're a fascist or a rational human being who values human rights. We can all come together and talk about it.
I don't care if you're a vegan or you're a cannibal, okay? Like,
we can all become pescatarians.
I don't care. I don't care if you like to fuck sheep or have normal consenting relationships with adults. We can come together and talk about it.
We can all come to the middle.
And talk about the fact that we all like sex. Anyways,
David's just in trouble.
So I want to lead this and say, first of all, I know we said we deal with the main event first, and we'll get to that. But my God, what an upset we saw this weekend! Possibly the greatest. Hold on. Let me finish because this is important. The greatest female fighter we have ever seen go down to rear naked choke, and there weren't even hooks in. I want to lead with that. So Priscilla Cachoeira tapping out to Jillian Robertson.
Okay,
that did happen.
Listen, I gotta say this. Jillian Robertson has the most submissions in women's MMA history. Take that.
Did you have to say that?
Right? No, because I just have to give her props before we diss Priscilla Cachoeira later in the evening. But
no, I don't need to diss Priscilla Cachoeira. That would be incredibly mean and punching down. I do not.
It's
want
true.
To.
It's true.
I think at this point, the bashing on Priscilla Cachoeira is just cruel, and I'm sure she's lovely. But let's talk about bashing Amanda Nunes, shall we? Because let me just say that, David, I am the last person in the world to make the accusation of someone quitting or not showing up to fight. Is that not correct? I always fight against that when you guys bring that. Amanda Nunes did not show up. What's that?
You said we guys? Okay, but go on.
No, like you guys, when you guys make that suggestion, I'm always the first one to push up against.
That's true.
And the last one to admit it. Amanda Nunes did not show up to fight. She showed up assuming she was going to steamroll Julianna Pena. Amanda Nunes quit. When she was offered resistance, she collapsed mentally. And I'm not one of those people who thinks if you quit once, you're a quitter. I don't think that. I think there's a range as to where, she's a world champion and has reached greater heights than I will ever in my entire life. But Amanda Nunes did not show up on that. 100%.
I think it's fair to say. Sorry, go on.
Can I get into a couple of technical aspects of the fight really quickly? Or would you? No, you guys, please. I will not go into soliloquy.
Yeah, let's react to that. Because I think it's fair to say that she did not show up. I wouldn't go as far as quitting. I'm not a BJJ expert, so David, you would know better than me.
David, it wasn't even under the chin.
Listen, man. Listen.
Watch getting cranks, though. Like it can.
You're a world champion. Dustin Poirier pulled Charles Oliveira, who has a squeeze like a reticulated python. He pulled that hand off the top of his head 4 times, and the head was almost buried. Grabbed the glove, pulled the hand off 4 times. Charles reinserted it, grabbed it, fought it off, pulled it off, grabbed it. Amanda Nunes, David, the hand was here. The hand was resting somewhere on the forehead, like this. Okay, with no hooks in, mind you, with no hooks.
Okay, it's a simple, and it wasn't even under the chin. It's a simple get on. You
have but to grab the hand exactly and build up to a base, right? Call that the hula hoop escape. And Amanda Nunes knows this. Amanda Nunes cannot plead.
She's a black belt.
She's a black belt. This is things that you learn at white belts. A rear naked choke with no hooks on, with the hand resting on top of the head. You grab that top arm, you pull it straight like Dustin Poirier did 4 times against possibly the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioner UFC has seen.
Damian Maia begs to differ, but I get what you're trying to say. I get the point you're trying to make.
Right? And not pure jiu-jitsu, just in the sense of applying jiu-jitsu to MMA. But
no, that's fair. Look, I think, but I also think part of it was Amanda got frustrated with Julianna Pena's technical adjustment that she made in the second that stymied her over and over and over and over.
And that technical adjustment was the same jab 4 times in a row. Like Amanda Nunes started off this fight working well. She was beating up that calf. And I thought, okay, she's going to follow this up and add punches to it. She ended up securing top position against Julianna Pena, reversing her. That was great. Doing good work from top half guard. She was threatening the Darce choke. Not super active with ground and pound, but Julianna Pena able to work to a half guard, lock up a Kimura for a bit, then start working on a single. Yeah, that was nice. That was decent. I'm like, okay, her striking looked not very competent, but that's okay. And then on the feet, Amanda Nunes tries hitting the same cross counter 4 times in a row and gets nailed with the same jab. Doesn't take a step backwards. Doesn't cut off to an angle, just thinks, no, this woman is not meant to be there with me. I'm going to step in the exact same way I did the last 3 times and expect something different to happen. And Julianna Pena threw the same shots again and again and again and landed against Amanda Nunes.
I mean, okay, the way I saw it personally, and, well, first of all, I think she was surprised, because she does secure a knockdown, if I'm not mistaken, in the first round.
It was a teep that got Julianna off balance. And I think part of it is Julianna stepped into it because she was trying to land that jab and get with the dip. And this is – sorry, go ahead because I don't want to walk all over
you. Basically, yeah. No, what I meant is that when she first put Pena on the floor, Pena on the floor, I think she thought it was going to be an easy night like it is for most of her fights. She's been getting girls out of there in 1 round, 2 rounds, even if she pieces them up for 3 to 5 rounds. Usually it's not too much of she's barely working the sweats. However, if I'm not mistaken, this fight was canceled, right? Before.
It got canceled because Amanda had COVID. So that's kind of the other thing with this is that how much did COVID affect Amanda's lungs?
It must have done something.
But Amanda's fought since this fight was canceled, though.
No. No, she has not.
Yeah, she has. She
beat Megan Anderson. Then Julianna Pena went on that media tour where she was talking a bunch of nonsense. And I'll even admit it. It's not nonsense. Well, I mean, her logic was, and I repeat, I was almost beating GDR until she submitted me, and you're the only woman who lost to GDR by submission behind you, right? So therefore, I should get a title shot against.
You're correct, by the way, Mike. Huh? You're correct. You're correct about the cancellation of the bout. The cancellation with Julianna Pena was the August, and Megan Anderson was in March.
Yeah, so it was way after.
So the way I see it, honestly, like I think she overlooked, and even if you look at the press conference a little bit, she was kind of overlooking Julianna Pena. She just has that kind of superiority complex, if you want to call it that, but that thing that makes her the champion that she is, where she feels like she's better than her opponents. And I genuinely feel like when she did get that knockdown, or the Pena lost balance, and she engaged in BJJ, I think Pena's jujitsu kind of surprised her to the point where it took her a while to register that she was even, in my opinion, under threat of the Kimura. And she was surprised, in my opinion, that Pena was able to kind of build to the single, as you said. And from there, honestly, like I think she was kind of gassed. This is why I'm wondering whether COVID played a factor, because in that second round, it was not the same Amanda Nunes. And I was watching highlights of Nunes versus both home, but also more for Rousey. And rarely, I mean, she does have a very hands down kind of power walk style, but she wasn't like defending at all.
But I think
like she was coming in straight lines too. She was coming in straight lines, and when you get hit with the same jab 4 times in a row, right, and you're noticing, oh, this length is providing me problems, you make adjustments, right? You come in at an angle, and Amanda Nunes surely knows that. I think the main problem is here, as you said, she wasn't expecting this kind of resistance, and fatigue is a thing. If you're well conditioned, mind you, if you're not well conditioned, you will fatigue. But fatigue can be as mental as it is in your body. And I think Amanda Nunes was not prepared for a fight. She was prepared to blow over Julianna Pena. And
and can you blame her though? Like that was the narrative coming in. Like why
she was a 6-1 underdog. Like
literally. Like, why Pena even deserve this fight? Amanda Nunes is the GOAT of all, greatest of all time. Like it's
look, I don't even heard of Julianna. If you were a casual, you didn't hear about Julianna. Let's be honest. Like you didn't hear about her. And here's the thing. Like even I will admit, I gave Julianna 0 chance until the second round happened, right? Because the first round was 10-9 Amanda clearly, but the second round happens, and Julianna lands that first jab, and Amanda runs into the jab. That was the only time I said, "Hold on here, the girl might have a shot."
I'm gonna be honest, Mike. When I saw some of those jabs and those straights, with all due respect, like I'm like,
she looked like a drunken schoolgirl at prom night.
I'm like,
oh, it was ugly. It was ugly. It was ugly. Elbows up in the air. Yeah. It was
the wind up looked like when it was garbage. The wind up looked like
so surprising. Go on, sorry.
No, I'm with you. It was ugly, but
and
here's
it's so
the thing.
Oh my God, I'm talking all over you. Go on.
Sorry, no, I'm just saying. Here's the thing, though. You can have as ugly as a jab and a cross as you'd like if you're dipping your head off the center and someone's not picking up on it.
Yeah, like every time, and like against someone that has longer reach than you, you have to do several things, right? Because that cross counter is not going to land in the same way that you would like it to unless you do one of 2 things. Okay. If you're sure that you want to use that cross counter, you have to make use of angles. You have to make use of angles. You have to get to the outside of that jab, slip, and take a step off the center line. Or you can kick while they're punching, right? But those are adjustments that have to be made. You can start taking a step backwards. You need to start.
But that's what Amanda was doing in the first round. When Julianna threw a jab,
she was kicking, right?
She hit the low kick, and what did it do? It dropped Julianna. So
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like I don't know why she didn't go back to that. I mean, and maybe this is just a lesson to Nunes that she can't be too confident in her boxing. I think she really felt like she could just overpower every single woman out there. And to counter what you're saying, I'm not even sure she was thinking tactically. I think when she first was getting clocked with that jab, I think she's just kind of like, I'm going to grit this out, and almost like a cyborg fight.
It was like, fuck you.
Literally, we're going to bang this out, and I know that I've got the power to put you in trouble. But the problem is, as sloppy, with all due respect, as Pena's boxing looked, she was doing that thing where like her arms were so far in front of her body that like it's almost like a quasi frame kind of thing.
She was unintentionally unintentionally making use of the Muay Thai long guard, you know?
No, for real. Like,
So that when Nunes would throw her punches, it would just kind of slap across the top of Pena's arms as opposed to reaching the target.
So here's one of the things that people actually like missed out on this, and I just picked it up when I watched the fight again today. They have the same reach. And that's the first time in a long time Amanda has actually enjoyed a reach, has had a either reach disadvantage or had someone be of same reach. Even Megan Anderson had a reach disadvantage against Amanda Nunes.
Oh, wow. That I didn't know.
Yeah, so Amanda Nunes, this was the first time in a long time she's fought somebody with a similar or greater reach in Julianna Pena.
And the way that Amanda throws her punches as well, kind of with her elbows high up and arcing for the most part, it doesn't mean that she's making the most of that reach as well, right? But, I mean, and Julianna's got some long arms. I saw some awful comments on Reddit, which I did not find funny at all, in which somebody compared Julianna Pena's body to SpongeBob. But
how's that funny?
I don't find it funny. I thought it was despicable. But the point remaining is that she has long arms.
She's funny. I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty funny. But
It's despicable. No, it's terrible.
You guys are awful for laughing. I didn't find it funny whatsoever.
Nunes has never.
You should be ashamed.
If we're being really honest with ourselves, Nunes has actually never been like a truly technical like striker. Like she's really.
No, she's a hitter.
Yeah, exactly. She's
a hitter and she's an all-rounder. Yeah. Sorry,
exactly.
David. I'm still walking all over you.
No, you're totally right. She's a hitter and she's an all-rounder. But I think once again she was surprised by the jiu-jitsu Pena, who weirdly I guess could fall into the same category of not really being like a specialist in anything, more being a little bit of an all-rounder.
No, I would call
she's a bit of a specialist on the ground. Yeah.
Do you think so?
Pena, yes. I would say her groundwork and wrestling is much. It's far superior to her striking elite. I mean, look, I think Amanda benefits by being an all-rounder in a division where there aren't many all-rounders. And, like, there are women with rounded skill sets in that division, but not a lot of women who are dangerous in multiple areas of the fight, whereas Amanda is. She's a submission threat and she's a big hitter, right? She's not the most tactical striker in the world. She's not Jermaine Durand, I mean. You know, she's not Julianna Barge, but she can crack, she can hit a good double leg, and her top pressure is good. She's a threat with submissions, right?
Even in that first round, that top pressure, like I hate to say it, like no one gets caught with a Kimura trap in 2021 anymore, right?
Well, I would say that there are threats that you can hit off of that Kimura. You're never going to get that Kimura from the bottom half guard, but you need to know how to sweep from that position or use it to stand up or attack leg locks. More importantly, But
and while Amanda had trouble with the half guard butterfly, she did eventually pass it. So it's not like Amanda was not bad in that position. I truly think when she got hit with the jab, it turned into an ego contest.
A contest of wills rather than a contest of skills.
Yeah, agreed. And especially once the jab kept landing multiple times, I feel like even like the first couple, you can see it in her face that she's like, oh, wait, this girl's actually hitting me, but no problem. I'm just going to walk her down. And up until like the last couple of shots, we really didn't see a change in her disposition. The thing that stuck out to me the most is just like, as we said already, no defense, like literally, like no
Zero.
defensive instinct at all. No dipping the head, no like hands up, like just like basic striking, like 101.
Take a step back. No taking a step back to reassess either, right?
Changing the angle, like something. Like it was none of that.
Diversity of strikes, like no hooks, no going to the body, no changing levels. I'm with you all the way.
Go on.
Super unrelated point, but do you guys remember that, like, I think it was like 2 minutes to go in the round where Julianna Pena loses her mouth guard and is willing to fight with no mouth guard against one of the greatest hitters of all time in the women's divisions, and Julianna Pena, like that is I just want to say that is the kind of heart she was showing that night that Nunes, quite frankly, was not in the place to match.
I was going to make the point that when she does eventually get knocked down, I just think the reason she tapped was she was spent. She was spent trying to match Pena's energy on the, I use the word energy very loosely because, let's be honest, it was more frantic energy than like a build up or like a pace.
Not a controlled application of
Yeah.
pressure. Just like in those cartoons when you see the big dust ball and limbs flying left and right.
And I think like by the time it hit the ground, like in the second round, like she was done. Like that's why I feel like she tapped. Even though you could say like she quit mentally, and I did just like literally while we were talking.
When you tap because you're tired, you've quit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am with you. A submission to exhaustion is quitting.
She could have fought it a little bit more
easily.
But yeah, it's not.
That was the quickest rear naked choke tap that I've seen since Anthony Johnson versus DC. Like
that one.
Until you guys watched the video I sent you in the group chat, but anyway, go on.
Was that of me and you rolling? David, I thought I told you not to show people that you tapped me out.
Hilarious. Don't worry. Watch it after.
I told you not to circulate the fact that you tapped me out.
Hilarious. Oh man, yeah, I've been tapped out by Stefano. Easy peasy, no problem.
No, David is the one who runs my shit on the ground. Don't. By the way, I just
pause.
Yeah, really.
That's homophobic. And me and David will not. I will not stand for this, and Christopher Reeves will not sit for this. But I just want to say, I want to give credit where credit's due to certain aspects of the fight of Julianna and Pena. Loved the takedown. Loved it. It's that classic takedown where you have like a body lock type grip. Amanda Nunes is attempting to create space with her knee kind of blocking the leg of Julianna Pena, which prevents Pena from throwing knees in that clinch. And Pena just hits that like sacrifice throw from the body lock where she uses that knee of Amanda Nunes as a lever and just throws her over the top. Loved it. Beautiful. I guess you'd call it's like a Polish takedown, right? They call that the Polish. That I thought was beautiful. And I think, there's moments to give credit, as sloppy as her striking look. There's moments where we can give Pena credit, not just.
I think technically it was awful. Like I said, drunken girl at prom night, but tactically she did the right things, and I think there's something to be said for that.
Now,
she did the right thing, and more importantly, she had the heart. How often do we see girls get hit by Amanda Nunes, and all of a sudden,
they're out to lunch?
Check out.
She didn't care. Like
they're booking their flight back to home country.
For real. Like if there's nothing you can say, like it's like Julianna Pena definitely has the heart of a champion. Do I think she needs to brush up on some skills? Maybe. But who am I to say that? But
there's something to be said for somebody that stands in there and is not intimidated by the champion and their aura. A la Amanda Nunes versus Ronda Rousey. A la Chael Sonnen Anderson Silva. A la Alexander Gustafsson, John Jones. A la Johnny Hendricks, George St. Pierre. Right.
Sarah GSP is another one, right?
There you go. So I have a hot take that I want you guys to hear. All right. This is a hot, spicy, fresh out of the oven, hot take, steaming. Okay. Now, coming off of this, I have a good strategic move for Julianna. All right. And I hope she's listening. If her and her manager and her coach, Rick Little, they're listening. All right, guys, pull out the notebook. All right. I've got me and my uneducated mind. I have something for you. All right. This is free. All right. This is free. Take this down for free. You tell Amanda, I will only give you the rematch if it's at 145 minutes. Boom. Now, let me tell you why. One, you have a built-in opportunity to become a champ. Okay? 2, you're going to retain your belt. No matter what happens, you're clinging onto that 35-pound gold. 3, if you lose, you're still champion. 4, if you lose, you have a baked-in rematch again, right there, easily. You have a rematch. And so you can't say anything about it. You can do a trilogy. There's a built-in trilogy because Amanda's going to want that 35-pound belt. So you hold up the division. You say, I'll take other contenders. Amanda's had her chance. If she wants to fight me, it's going to be up a weight class for her 45-pound title. I'm the champ. I'm in the position to call the shots now. I'll be your manager, Julia. Let's go.
Thanks. I hate it. Amanda's definitely going to get a rematch for sure.
But at 45.
You want to know what my hot take was? My hot take was, Valentina is licking her lips. I just want to see that ring girls are important, and even if they are beautiful, they are still important. Now cut to footage of me shooting guns out in the desert with Pavel and my sister Antonina.
That is pretty good. That was actually
Why
pretty
is your Valentina like this good?
Yeah,
It's
you
almost
practiced that
weird.
before. Stefano, yo, what is Faustine saying for all these impressions? Are you just cutting like impression the entire your entire stay in New York?
I'm in front of the mirror just doing it. Honestly, I've been doing it since I was a kid. So
Okay, fair enough.
I was a loser growing up, David.
What do you mean growing up? That implies that you're not. Okay. All right. Well,
David, if you don't watch it, I'll come over there to England and you'll beat my ass.
oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. No, man. Anyway, yeah.
So,
Go on.
Now, any more hot takes on this, or can we move on to the main event of the evening?
One hot take, because there was this whole controversy about commentating. I honestly thought Joe Rogan and DC did as bad as they do technically and in saying the technical aspects of MMA.
Wait, sorry, Mike, can you outline the controversy? Because I'm not privy to this.
So Dominic Cruz in his press conference talked about
one.
Right,
No,
in
we
the
can do that
idea
one.
that DC sorry?
I feel like we could do that in the Cruz fight too.
No. I'm not talking about like the actual commentary. I just want to say like they did a really good job of like conveying the energy and the feeling that we were witnessing history in those moments. And I think it's easy to give Joe, especially nowadays, give Joe Rogan a raw deal of
anytime a women's title fight happens, according to Joe Rogan, it's the biggest sports spectacular in all of history.
Yeah, right. But you know, and it's hilarious. Like, yeah, like, and I'll be the first to diss him for you know doing a bad job. But I thought they did an excellent job at conveying the energy and the feeling. And John Anik was top form tonight. So that night. So you know, I just want to give credit where credit's due every once in a while.
Yeah, you know what? I thought they did a good job, and I didn't have a problem. And my hot take is, I honestly fell asleep last night because it was at 5 a.m. Woke up to Pena celebrating, doing her little shoulder shimmy.
Oh my God, that's going to be a meme. It looks like
it needs to be.
She did the movement like Bernie, right? The movement like Bernie.
I don't know what that is, but to me it looked like, you know, she was hooked up to a defibrillator.
Hilarious. That was great. But you know what I will say is, like, when I
like Bernie in
rewatched it,
2021 though. Come on.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I literally shed a tear. Like, it was just so like inspiring. The fact that, you know, this woman, everybody doubted her, and she kind of showed everyone what. And she kept saying, you know, what happens when you believe in yourself, kind of thing. And she was outmatched. Let's call it as it is. She was outmatched for this fight, and it kind of didn't matter. She managed to catch the champion on an off day, and she made it work. You know, she was technically smart. She had the right weapons, even though we're all talking smack about her weapons. And yeah, she had the heart to make it work. So, shouts out to her, man. Like that. To me,
this reminded me of like a much smaller scale, less important version of Michael Asiffo versus Oliver Ryan. You know, rising to the occasion and overcoming those haters and really putting on a seminal performance.
What was that? What was the topology thing again? 89 to 11 or something, like 89% to 11% or something like that.
Yeah, Mike, you know that's three dudes in Bulgaria, right?
Oh yeah.
But hey, I want to do some bets on this amateur Canadian MMA.
Oh, cool! Amateur Canadian MMA. Oh. Oliver Ryan. Oliver Ryan sounds like Rhine River in Germany. I'll be betting my 42 shekels on him.
Shekels, bro. You can't be doing that to me. No, but to David's point about the tier and like the inspiration, like honestly, I'm with you because I remember I didn't go to bed till like 3 a.m. because I was so in shock and I was shaking because it was just like I'll be the first. Everyone, you know it. Everyone has that one friend who's like, I called it all along. Everyone has that one friend.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
Is this the biggest moment for SpongeBob since the death of Steven Hillenburg?
Oh my God.
All right, let's move on.
Sounds like we're all out of takes. Yeah, let's move this on.
Okay, so, gentlemen, do you mind if I go on a rant? Do I have your permission and blessing?
Please do.
Yeah.
Now, this fight was 2.5 rounds of what was I didn't put the heat on. This fight was 2.5 rounds of fun. And let me start by singing both of these gentlemen's praises. What a phenomenal job from Oliveira. And what a spirited performance from Poirier. I mean, Oliveira did a great job of, no, you can't have any more. Ginger stealing food. This is what a spirited performance from Poirier, and Oliveira, man, did a great job, beautiful job, just tracking Dustin Poirier's head and following up with knees afterwards. Just making sure he knew where Poirier was at all time, pressuring up against the cage. When he started to shoulder roll, he'd clamp on that head and begin working to the body. Just targeting the body early and often. And to be frank, I think the accumulating effect of working Poirier up and down made Poirier's boxing defense less effective as well, because he was slotting in crosses. Poirier made the adjustments, and he exploited one of those weaknesses of Oliveira in throwing that lead right hook after the cross, because his head's just so high up in the air that it's difficult to get away from. And that's where he really clattered Oliveira in that early round, was with that.
Got the knockdown off of it.
Yeah, that lead right hook over the top, because, that's what he's most susceptible to, his chin being fairly high up in the air in that long Muay Thai stance. But man, tell me, does Oliveira do a great job of using offense as a defense, or what?
Yes.
Yeah, I was very shocked. What I was very shocked about was the use of the clinch by Oliveira.
Almost instantly.
And the elbows in tight. The elbows in tight were just masterful.
Yeah, no, what really struck out to me, first of all, I think it should go without saying now that Oliveira is a slow starter, because in that early round, I think Dustin, even though a lot of people felt like it was a clear Dustin round, and I'll get to the criticism that I saw online a little bit later. But
watching it back, I disagree, but go on.
I would disagree. I thought it was a pretty even first round. If it not for that knockdown for Poirier, I could see somebody giving it to Oliveira. But I thought, Poirier definitely had the crisper boxing to begin with. And what really stuck out to me, as you said, in terms of offense, for using offense as defense, those front kicks up the middle, thing of beauty. A thing of beauty. The way he was snapping those out, I think really disrupted Poirier's rhythm, because I feel like a lot of guys just stand off Poirier while he's moving and sliding in and out of range, and
give him the timing and allow Poirier to get reads on you.
But
and
you know what
timing on
comes
counters.
down to? But you know what comes down to is that Oliveira is not afraid to go to the ground, so therefore he's not afraid to throw kicks, and therefore he's not afraid to throw probably the most catchable kick, which is the teep, right?
That's true. Mind you, a lot of his front kicks, I will say, came in not like a teep, but like those low chambering front. Yeah. And you just know, and we all know a guy like this. You just know that Charles Oliveira is one of those lanky guys that's got a skeleton made out of knives, you just know that every limb that he throws at you just feels like you're getting, clashed with a, it feels like you're getting hit with a bar full of adamantium. You just know that he's rock solid.
And what surprised me was the consistency of it too. It wasn't like he would throw it out once and then go back to his thing and then throw it out sporadically. He would
water in the basement.
Do that well, over and over and over again, just to get Poirier, just to make sure Poirier didn't settle in the fight, which I thought was a smart tactic.
Exactly. Didn't let him settle. Didn't let him settle into the ranges. Didn't give him space in the open octagon to drop back and counter, right? And after he landed those initial shots, he was on Poirier, grabbing onto his head, throwing elbows. He was grabbing onto the wrists, rolling over elbows, throwing knees. He timed a beautiful, it is difficult to time a counter uppercut in this way, but just sliding past the rear hand of Poirier, just slotting in that tight little uppercut, he was a dynamo. And his style, I disagree with Joe Rogan on that. He's saying he's perfect. I don't think he's technically perfect. And I think that's what makes him so exciting, is that he compensates for his defensive flaws by putting it on you early and often. And it's interesting because if you guys will recall the arc of Oliveira and Poirier's careers, these are two guys that not too long ago, a lot of people were saying, yeah, they're great, but they're very chinny, And here these two guys are in a main event, just showing off both of their toughness and durability.
I agree 100%. I think you know, this narrative that Oliveira is not durable, let's throw it to bed, guys.
Let's put it to bed.
Yeah, let's throw it to bed because
especially after the Chandler fight. Like, come on.
Yeah, because to take 59 Dustin Poirier left hands and right hooks and come back for the second round almost refreshed in a way is insane, you know. And it comes down to this: he was in fantastic shape going into that fight, like excellent shape, and he, you know, one guy was making the investment to the body and was sapping the energy, and the other guy, while successful going to the head, didn't. And you saw kind of what that can do for you.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, yeah, the body shots of Oliveira, I think, eventually played a toll. I think what really sapped Dustin Poirier's energy was the second round, where Oliveira gets the body lock, and then surprisingly, with all due respect, like, out wrestles Dustin Poirier, like, really puts it on him, drags him to the floor, and then, you know, some people say, and this is the criticism I saw online, some people were like, oh yeah, you know, but Poirier got the blah blah blah, like the reversal, and, you know, was winning until, like,
wait, which reversal did Poirier get? Because,
so
I mean,
the
it didn't seem like a
glove.
Oh, the
So
glove?
the omoplata with the glove touch. I think it's a legitimate concern.
Hold on, that wasn't a reversal though. That was Poirier rolling through on that.
So what had happened was Poirier gets top position, and a triangle attempt happens, and Poirier is about to back out. And what Oliveira does is he reverses into a omoplata and grabs the glove. I'm just saying this for people who don't understand the context, right? Now, here's the thing. As a person who likes the omoplata, like, and uses it consistently to, like, get roll throughs or the submission or even get a crossface from there, I can tell you firsthand, one of the hardest things to do is get someone to stay there and not, like, slide their arms through, right? So you don't know the effect it could have had for Poirier to be able to slide out, because that led to 2.5 minutes of top position.
I will say that
it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah,
that's all.
I will say that Poirier made a technical error there. The roll is an appropriate option if your arm is deep in the omoplata. And, like, the main use of the omoplata in modern jiu-jitsu and MMA, very rarely will you see omoplatas being finished as a submission in and of themselves. Often they're more or less just used as a sweep and as a progression to other things. That's why you have 2 omoplata finishes in the entirety of the UFC history, right? Now, Poirier's elbow was kind of clear. Like, I get that Oliveira's finger was in the glove, but he made an error rolling there, fundamentally. Maybe he thought he would be able to roll through and then get back up to his feet. But these are not the kind of scrambles you want to be making against Charles Oliveira. You want to treat the floor like it's lava. Like, when Poirier went into his guard after knocking him out, I'm just like, the floor is lava. The floor is lava. Dustin, the floor is lava. Stand up. But, you know,
to his credit, he did stand up, like, after a couple. But he was in danger zone for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, because to me, I think it's a legitimate gripe to have about it, because, you know, at the end of the day, like, again, I can appreciate how hard it is to keep someone's hand inside the omoplata when you want to sweep, right? Like the De La Hiva sweep, for example. You know, elevated helicopter. There are sweeps there that you need the arm to be in there, even if the elbow is clear. So I can appreciate the controversy people are having. I don't know how much I would say that takes away from Oliveira's victory, though.
No, I don't.
Full disclosure, I'm grabbing that glove if I'm Oliveira too.
Like, that's the part that was confusing me. It's kind of like, okay, well, let me get this straight. This is a championship fight. You know, his 20th victory is on the line. This guy's been in the UFC for, like, how long? Like, forever, pretty much. And what's he supposed to do? This guy has his arm and it's kind of escaping. He's just not supposed to try and use whatever advantage he can possibly get.
It's still cheating.
It's cheating, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I just don't feel like it had that much of an impact on the fight. Other than, you know, it was the beginning event in, like, a chain, in like the sequence that eventually sapped Dustin Poirier's energy. But also, you know, and they said this in the commentary a lot, Poirier was the one who's, like, chose to, like, stay in closed guard, chose to stay in, like, you know, with that body triangle. from bottom. And, there are benefits, there's pros and cons to doing that. I get it. With the guy who's as dangerous in terms of submissions as Oliveira, you kind of want to be a little bit conservative.
Specifically a back taker, right? Specifically somebody who, when you open up your guard and tried to, and Poirier mentioned himself, like, I was nowhere near the fence. And the fence can kind of be a mitigator because you can put your back to the fence to stop them from making it, even though it was against the fence before he ended up getting choked. But yeah, open guard like that, opening your guard and trying to kick off against a guy like Oliveira is death.
Fair enough. But also, that's what helps Oliveira sap Dustin Poirier's energy. He was literally running his fingers across his face, to the point where I was like, ref, you're not gonna say anything to this guy,
posting off of the chin as well, and just hitting those nice, he really played
turning in elbows.
Yeah. He was throwing these elbows. He was throwing not quite 12-6, but kind of playing fast and loose, where you just you kind of.
It's 11:30. It's 11:30 to 5:30.
Yeah. And looked vicious doing work from full guard with that. I will say this about Oliveira as well. In a division and in a sport where the base is most commonly boxing, low kicks come as a result of boxing combinations, right? That's what the sport's turning into. He's one of the last Muay Thai fighters in the sport.
Yeah, no, that's
and Muay Thai not in his weapons, just in his weapon selection, but in his philosophy, mixing the ranges, single strikes, high and low, he at high stance, his emphasis on elbows and he is a Muay Thai fighter in a sport full of boxers now.
Yeah. And you know what? I gotta say, I really appreciated the march when Poirier was up against the fence, and to fake with the teep and use it into a Muay Thai march and then slide that. Was it the left or the right elbow through? Was nice. It was nice.
Right. Yeah. But I really think, with all due respect, that had Poirier been a little bit more adventurous from bottom, and I get it, Oliveira is a killer.
More adventurous from bottom.
Says the white belt.
I know. I know. I'm a simp. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I just feel and I get it. He was getting clobbered at the same time, but
it's a damned if you don't, damned if you do situation.
Yeah, for sure. And he's nowhere. After a minute of getting absolutely smashed, you would think you got to switch it up. I don't know, but that's just me talking. So
no,
why doesn't he just stand up?
Yeah, what's the problem? You know what I think he was doing? He was trying to drain Oliveira. Drain his energy.
No, I get your point. Man, no, I do get your point though. You have to understand. This is getting scored, and you're getting tired, and this is a war of attrition.
And he's a black belt too, so I know. Once again, I know there's different
black belts.
There's black belts, and there's But you know what? I will say this. Look, I'm actually of the opinion that a point should have been taken away. I just don't know if I necessarily think. I just don't necessarily think they should take away from Oliveira's victory, because here's the problem. It was a significant reason as to why Poirier decided to roll through, because he couldn't slide his hand out. But I think at the same time, Poirier also did not do himself any favors with putting himself on his back, and he also did not do himself any favors with the body lock, and then right away going into the triangle. It wouldn't kill you to go butterfly guard. Wouldn't kill you to try to go for a De La Riva sweep. Wouldn't kill you to go elevator, helicopter, something,
He could have taken more risks, and obviously he paid as a result, right?
Yeah. And even then, it should be said, that's not even the sequence that ended it for him. The sequence that ended it for him was in the beginning of the third round, when Charles Oliveira transitioned from body lock to back take.
Now, what do you guys think? Where do you think Poirier goes from here? And who do you think Oliveira should fight next? I'm going to start and say that it's going to be a long road back to the title for Poirier, as it always is at lightweight, right? This is not welterweight, where it's deep enough, but you can find yourself back in a title shot. Kobe did it after one fight because they're stood up for challenge. This is a division that not only is deep, but has a bit of a logjam. Since Conor McGregor held up the division with the Floyd Mayweather fight, we're still feeling the repercussions of that. In that, really good challengers have not gotten their shine. How do you feel about Poirier moving up to 170?
Yeah,
He's big
I
enough.
heard,
He's big
I
enough.
think he's well. I heard a rumor about that, but honestly, like, and I made this point to a guy at the gym today. I mean, if Oliveira is out wrestling Dustin Poirier, albeit for specific reasons, like, what do we think? Like, Kamaru Usman is gonna do? Like, he's going to do much of the same things that he did that Oliveira did to Dustin Poirier, and
That's fair.
might be even uglier in terms of Kamaru is definitely a more brutal wrestler. I mean, even though he kind of focuses more on like, defensive
No,
wrestling.
I'd actually argue that Oliveira is a better ground and pound artist than Usman.
But size matters. But size does matter. And
but yeah, no, that's fair.
I think that I do think that a move up to 170 would be more in the Donald Cerrone fashion or the McGregor fashion than it would be in the, competitive title aspiration fashion.
Yeah.
Like it would be for legacy fights.
Yeah, I think for me the thing that makes the most sense is just a rematch with McGregor and then a ride off into the sunset. I think Dustin Poirier is good enough and has done enough to say.
How many times do you want to see McGregor be knocked out by Dustin Poirier?
As many times as it takes, man. As many times as it takes. Honestly.
How many times do you have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Get the money. You know what?
Nate Diaz is talking a lot of smack. Let's go, Nate Diaz, Dustin Poirier.
Yeah. I'll say this about Dustin.
David's
Poirier.
like, I don't hate it.
Sorry?
No,
David's like, I don't hate it.
Best two boxers in the UFC. Let's go.
What? What?
Okay, here's a funny thing. Sorry, Mike, but I'll let you finish. Yeah. Poirier, Tony Ferguson. It's a matchup that we never got to see when Ferguson was in his prime, but I'd pay money for that.
Yeah, my money's on Poirier for that one. I just think like the Tony Ferguson we've seen recently.
Yeah, he's just broken. Like, all right. Well, you know what? Look, what was it? Yesterday he was despondent. Dustin Poirier being despondent, and there was a quote that came out where he said, "I could climb the mountain, but like I'm thinking with myself, do I even want to?" I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along those lines.
I understand that. This is a man who's climbed the ladder like 3 different times.
Yeah.
4 different times in 2 separate divisions,
So,
I get it.
Oh, I think at some point you don't want to talk to somebody after a loss. We've said some crazy things after losses, you know what I'm saying? Guilty as charged. Stefano, you've probably been there. Like even after wins, you've probably said some crazy things.
Oh, dude, I cry like a baby after every one of my fights, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah, so you're emotional. It's high intensity. David, I remember me and David were talking pre-fight. I was like, I'm thinking of retiring. Remember that one, right? So
I have that thought before every fight.
Yeah, like,
man, the pressure's not worth it. This is hell.
Yeah. So it's all to say that you never know what Dustin Poirier's mindset's going to be like going forward, and I think the mindset depends on it all. If Dustin Poirier is still despondent, legacy fights, McGregor, Diaz, Ferguson, whatever.
Or retirement. Retirement's an option too.
Yeah, or retirement. And he does a lot more for charity. And I think if he
hot sauce company.
Yeah. So, he's got a lot of things outside of fighting that he can go to where he's not going to end up like, insert fighter who's kind of struggling here. But at the same time, if his mindset is, I want to get back up the mountain, I think he's still got a lot of opportunity, a lot of gas in the tank to go one more run. And I think on a different night, he could beat Oliveira, to be honest.
I agree. Even though it looked like Oliveira was firmly in control of this fight. Now, I do think, though, that if Poirier chose to ride off into the sunset here, this would be as graceful a retirement as you can see in this sport, for sure. Aside from Khabib Nurmagomedov, 29-0.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah, I think Dustin Poirier's legacy is solidified. So he really doesn't need the McGregor fight would be a money fight, which I'm always down for fighters getting paid.
Get your bag.
Yeah. So I'm not mad about that. Whether that happens in the UFC or on Triller, it really makes no difference to me. But in terms of another run for it. Like, with all due respect, I do think the lightweight, it's time for kind of like a refresh. Like, we need some new blood. Like, I feel like if Justin Gaethje loses also to Oliveira, then I'm sorry, Justin, but you've had 2 shots at this, and it's really not fair.
Well, okay, let me picture a scenario. Let's say Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje beat some combination of each other, Beneil Dariush, and Fiziev. I'm just throwing out a name, and Fiziev. Do they get a title shot then?
I don't see why. Having watched the Fiziev fight, like, I think one more fight, he's ready. Like, I really don't think there's many dudes that can like strike with Fiziev right now.
But that's my point. Let's say Poirier beats Fiziev dead. He beats Fiziev tomorrow, right? I'm just spitballing.
Okay.
Right? Why wouldn't Dustin Poirier get a title shot after that?
Not after if Oliveira is the champion, then no. If Justin Gaethje is the champion, different conversation. But even then, like, I really think it's time for like the new guys to get a shot at the title.
But
like,
my point is based on what? Like, based on the fact that they're new, or based on the fact that you think Dustin Poirier can't hang with these new guys?
No, just based on the fact that they're new. And I know that's like, not the meritocracy that we love to pretend that the UFC is, but let's face it, like, these guys have been getting like shot after shot after shot for the title. So I don't know. That's just my personal feeling. Like,
I think there's some need for some new blood and some new names in this lightweight division for sure, and some fresh matchups. And I do think that
I get it, but let's not do that.
The division's not fatigued of Poirier. People might become fatigued of Poirier in this position soon, and the UFC has a need to build new names and new stars. And I do think should be a long climb back to the title for him. I don't think one win against Fiziev is necessarily enough to put him back in the title picture, especially in lightweight, man.
Look, what I'm trying to say is, while I understand the need to get new blood in there, let's not do it at the risk of, here's a guy who, let's not Francisco Trinaldo the guy. That's what I'm trying to explain. Let's if a person shows the propensity to be able to compete, let's give him the opportunity to show the propensity to compete.
Oh, I agree with
Dustin
you.
Poirier, and I think Dustin Poirier still has enough to be able to beat these young bloods. If he does, if he goes on a 3-fight winning streak, 2-fight, you know what I'm saying, 3-fight winning streak, which he can realistically do in 2 years, who's to say no?
I'm with you. I think he can make his climb back up to the title, and realistically, he might not be finished. So I'm with you as of all of those remarks. The thing is, there's a lot of other people in this division that are waiting for their crack as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm looking at the rankings right now. You got Diego Ferreira, you got Arman Saryukin, Brad Riddell. I mean, if Brad Riddell puts on like 2-3 wins, like, why the hell not, man?
Brad Riddell, but here's the thing, David. There's even more deserving contenders in the division.
Yeah,
you didn't even mention Makhachev, Gillespie. You didn't even mention Diego Ferreira. You did. But you didn't mention. Sorry, I meant to say Beneil Dariush, right?
Yeah.
Or Fiziev, or like this is a division that's like top to bottom. You can't miss, you can't miss. And Gaethje, we didn't even mention Gaethje.
Gaethje, yeah. Right. For sure. No, there's mad people. I mean, I honestly think Gaethje maybe has like 1 or 2, like one
Gaethje's
shot.
getting the next title shot.
Yeah.
Like, that's just right. And then winner of Beneil versus Makhachev.
I think in this situation, we're probably in a situation where I think, and I could be wrong, I think Gaethje beats Oliveira. I think Oliveira has the best shot to beat Makhachev, right? And I think Makhachev beats Gaethje. I fundamentally think it would work that way. It would come out that way.
It depends. It depends what It depends what kind of fighter shows up on that night for these guys. But I'm inclined to agree.
I generally thought that Dustin Poirier was going to get the win today, and it was going to be Poirier versus Gaethje for the next title shot, for the next title bout. But I think I'm done doubting Charles Oliveira. I do think like he has the best like submission game in the division. Even though I think Makhachev could probably out wrestle him, I do think like his submission game is A1, and as you said, his Muay Thai is underrated, and I think he puts up a good fight against Justin Gaethje personally. Like, so
No, he can put up a good fight against anybody. Like,
you never know. You never know. I'm not willing to make a definitive statement about one thing or the next in this division, right?
all right, guys, let's talk about another fight because we are.
Yeah, it's getting late. Rapid fire through the next couple.
Rapid fire. Before we miss it, because this is a little bit down the card, I just want to quickly discuss two fights. Quickly, we can just say it in one or two sentences, but I just want to start by saying Dominic Cruz, wow, in 2021, still posing questions for the rest of the division, still making his style work, still putting on an excellent display of footwork, using the dart excellently, and fighting back through adversity when I thought, And number two, I just want to say that who's going to be the person to tell Ryan Hall about double legs?
That's funny. That's funny.
Does he know about double legs? Can we talk to him? Can we get Ryan Hall on the line? And he's like, he's that person that has to do things differently for the sake of doing things differently. Like, Ryan, you don't have to fly into an inverted double flying scissor, quadrilateral heel look in order to secure. There's a double leg. Just use the double leg, Ryan. The double leg works fine.
I actually didn't watch the Ryan Hall fight, but that's hilarious. I would say about the Dominic Cruz fight, that was a good fight. I think Pedro Munoz will feel like he dropped the ball on this one because he had Dominic Cruz like out to right, like in that first round. Another referee, if it wasn't Dominic Cruz, they would have stopped that fight because like he knocked him down clean twice. But Dominic Cruz, as you said, he did a good job of being active when he was kind of on the bottom in that first round and kind of out of it. He did a good job in that second round. I think he won that second round cleanly. And then that third round, once again, he was just way more active than Pedro Munoz. I feel like Munoz, sorry. Had Munoz been more active, and I get it because the movement of Cruz makes it difficult to kind of like read what he's going to do. But had he been more active, had he kind of hunted Dominic Cruz down a little bit more, I think he would have like gotten the victory. I think.
But to his credit, it's hard, man. It's hard to hunt Dominic Cruz down. Like he is a master of manipulating range and movement. Like he'll just do these subtle things that you still don't see anybody else in 2021 doing. For example, just those little he'll just be circling the cage and stop as if to give you the chance to strike, so that you feel like you can commit to a strike and then keep moving. Or as you're chasing him, he'll stop. You'll stop, and then he'll keep moving or change. Like he is just a master of like his own unique brand of footwork, and somebody who is a prime example of someone who fights much better on the back foot than the front foot.
Yeah, I agree. But what I will say though, just as a negative for Dominic Cruz, well,
he can't hit for shit.
Well, yeah, he hits like a mosquito. But the question mark I do have to ask is this was as durable as I've ever seen Dominic Cruz be. But is that a good thing that we're seeing his durability in 2021 at the age of 34?
That is a fair point to make, I think. I mean, we saw it in the Cody Garbrandt fight as well, but I am with you. Once the durability begins to, he's never been somebody who's had to showcase that durability.
Yeah, right. And so I like Dominic Cruz at his best when I wonder can he take a shot, because that means he's not taking shots.
David, if you're wondering, we're babysitting another dog this week.
Oh,
this is Oscar. Hi, Oscar.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
By the way, made an error. Dominic Cruz is not 34. He's 36. So
I was going to say 34 is not too bad. 36, I mean, those 2 years. Whew.
It's a testament to the style that he's crafted that, if you would think about two styles that aged poorly, you'd say, okay, something heavily reliant on footwork and movement and, slipping and making people miss, or like Dominic Cruz, where you'd say something like Jose Aldo that requires, constantly rely on athleticism and reaction time. Yet here we are in 2021, and both of them are winning fights at 135 in one of the lighter weight classes.
Yeah, legitimate striking distance of winning a title or like getting to a title shot.
Oh man!
So hilarious. Shouts out to them.
Title shot, I will be livid. I do not think like that would be fair, personally, because he has come off a couple of bad losses, in my opinion. But hey, who am I to like doubt the greatness?
Wait, a couple. He. The only loss that he has is against Henry Cejudo.
And Cody Garbrandt. Fair enough. He is coming up. I'm looking at his record now, and he is like on a 2-fight win streak. I just think it's early.
I'm saying like one more fight he wins, and you wonder, right?
A lot of people calling for a Jose Aldo fight with him now. I personally think Jose would be disciplined enough to chop down the legs of Dominic Cruz in order to win that. I would have Jose in that matchup in its present iteration, but I would still like to see that fight.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Okay, just because I know we're not going to talk about it, just quickly, the fight of the night for me was Tai Tuivasa versus Augusto Sakai, just because,
aka Brazilian
Danny.
Bro, he absolutely smokes this guy, walks him down for pretty much 2 rounds, and eventually, and I think like Tai Tuivasa gets a bad rap for being not technical, but man, he was like switching.
I think he's got good striking. I think he's got decent striking for heavyweight.
No one's ever had really the problem with his striking. Like I've never really, for heavyweight, I thought it was pretty technical enough. The problem with him is, he's a turtle. Like you get him on his back and it's pretty much over, right?
But you know what? Here's one of my problems with the UFC. Tai Tuivasa on the undercard, right? Doesn't he have a 4-fight win streak and a finishing streak as well? Yeah. I want you to check who's on the main card next week. Go ahead, take a look. Please.
Just poo-poo, right?
Take a look. Go ahead.
Derek Lewis versus Chris Daukaus.
Daukaus, okay. Keep reading down the card. I want you to.
Bilal Muhammad, Stephen Thompson. That's a good fight.
That's a good fight.
Rafael Assunção versus Ricky Simone. That's a decent fight. That Darren Elkins versus Cub Swanson. Legend versus tough guy.
No, legends. They're both legends.
Okay,
like,
my bad.
Give respect. Don't disrespect my boy Elkins like that.
Wait,
I must be making a mistake. Maybe it got canceled on this fight. Or maybe it's on his. But I believe Ed Hardy is.
Your boy Ed Hardy.
I believe he's not on this card, but I believe he's on the main card of an event coming up, or is at least scheduled on the main card of an event.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last fight is Diego Ferreira versus Gamrot. I don't know Gamrot.
Which is a good fight. That's a good fight.
Gamrot beat Jeremy Stevens handily, like submitted him by Kimura in his last fight. Gamrot is a very hot prospect. He was an competitor. I believe he won an ADCC Europe trials or something like that, which is an insane accomplishment. And
I think his first fight in the first round of ADCC was
Gary Tonin.
Thank you. And that was like, oh, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, he put on an interesting fight nonetheless, but I'm a big Gamrot fan. He does a lot of weird things that you don't quite see in 2021. Like he does that low single. That here we go. Even better. UFC 270, Gane versus Ngannou. Greg Hardy is on the main card. Yeah, he's the 4th fight on the main card.
Wait, hold on.
UFC 270.
Like second off the top, or like what are we talking when we
say? I'm talking about there's the main event of Ngannou versus Gane. Then there's the co-main, Moreno Figueiredo. Then there's Jared Cannonier, Derek Brunson. Then there's Greg Hardy against Alexei Oleinik.
Nobody in this world asked for that, but that's fine. Point taken. I do agree, but they do need to do a better job of spreading some of these fights out, in my opinion. But I thought I was okay. I was comfortable with Tuivasa kind of going undercard of this fight, just because it was kind of a stacked card in general. I mean, yet Eric Anders and Dominic Cruz fighting on the undercard too. So I mean,
all I'm saying is on the undercard of that card, you have Rodolfo Vieira versus Wellington Thurman. You have Vivian Arroyo versus Alexa Grasso on the undercard. Okay,
I like that fight a lot.
I like that fight.
Yeah,
I like that fight. That is a main event fight, especially in that division. you have I'm saying you have below that fight on the main card Evloev versus Poirier, two undefeated featherweights.
Yeah.
So honestly, Greg Hardy for me is kind of like the Big Bang Theory. I don't know who likes it. I don't know who enjoys this, and I don't know who's asking for it, and I don't know why it's still around in 2021.
But clearly someone
it's working.
Does. It's weird because
or Eminem's new albums. That's another one. Like, who's sitting here in 2021 listening to "If You Can Believe and Achieve, You Can Go and Do and Eve and Eminem and oranges, peach, pears, plums."
Well, there goes our Shady FM deal. Whatever though. Okay, yeah. No, I just wanted to make that quick point about too. I'd also say that I feel like. I don't know whether it's being here in Britain, but man, that Chewy is looking better and better every single time.
I hate it so much. Thank you for
disgusting.
It's disgusting, man. It looks great.
It makes me cringe.
That was literally the highlight of my night. I don't know what it was. That was literally
that shoe better be clean. It better be
fucking pure. It's
not, bro.
It's puerile. It is puerile.
Literally, I was getting Stone Cold Steve Austin vibes. You know what I mean? The way he cracked that beer open and just poured it into it, I'm like, yes.
It's a good gimmick.
And it better be like a cup, like a shoe cup. You know what I'm saying? Because, dude, that's so disgusting.
Nah,
Mike, here's the thing. It's not a gimmick because he's doing people's from the audience as well.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And then I don't know if you guys were watching just afterwards, but there was another everybody in the crowd started doing it, and there were these two guys that were smashed, literally.
Oh yeah, and one of them poured the whole beer over himself. I'm like, that is disgusting.
Highlight of my night.
First of all, that man is going to have to sit around with a sticky beer-soaked T-shirt for the rest of the night. So enjoy that.
There was still 3 hours of the event left.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to deal for that one moment on camera with your shirt just clinging to your hairy sweaty chest.
Yes, I love it.
You're gonna have to ride home on the subway smelling like beer.
I love it, man. Oh, man. Anyway, okay. So is there any other fights you guys wanted to talk about? I just wanted to shut that up.
Kai Kara-France, Cody Garbrandt. Cody is a glass cannon in the truest sense of the word.
He didn't seem like he's getting chinny. My thing is that I feel like Kara-France did a great job of using feints, using different difficult setups, and just got him, man. I think he just got him. And especially once he gets that first knockdown, Cody's on stage.
You know what? It's also that Cody was never really relying on fundamental defense to begin with. I've never really seen him throw a parry up or do a high shell or, you know what I'm saying? He's usually a guy who relied on leaning away from stuff, right? And I mean,
I just want to say as well that in his last 6 fights, he's 1-5.
Yeah.
And of those 5 losses, he is 4 of them have gone by 4 knockouts. Yeah. Dillashaw, Munoz, and Kai Kara-France now.
Yeah. Toss him against Dominic Cruz.
But Cody's a 25er now.
Yeah. It's one fight, and plus he's still ranked above Cruz somehow. But anyway.
That's insane. He's ranked above Cruz, seriously?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I thought honestly, I agree with Michael. He didn't really have much defensive nous there in that fight, but shouts out to Kai Kara-France, man. He got him, and he used some tricky setups too to get him too. So
he's from the same gym as Adesanya, and look forward to seeing more of
Warriors.
Yeah. Haven't really been super duper impressed with a lot of his striking so far, but honestly, he did, and I thought Cody Garbrandt was going to win this fight. Regardless of him, dropping down and being, I guess, 1-4 before this fight. But yeah, no, he did this is
25. Well, it is a skill division. There's not that many competitors in it, and few more wins, and Kara-France might be knocking on the door of another crack against Moreno.
But on the Cody Garbrandt side, if you're getting knocked out on 1 or 2 punches, this is where I'm going to disagree with David. If you're getting knocked out in 1 or 2 punches, or you're on Queer Street at 25, I think it's.
Is he 25 years old?
No, sorry. At 125, as in the division 125, right? If think about it, how many times do you remember guys getting knocked out like that, or like getting hit with the first shot? Besides, like maybe Davison Figueroa versus Joe B, and that was clearly because Joe B was still coming off of like, his issues and his concussion issues. So
I think it's an interesting predicament to be in when, he had a style, and I say glass cannon very respectfully, but he had a style not really predicated around defense, predicated around, offensive prowess and really taking it to his opponents, cutting them off and just beating them on the quick draw. And that is not a style that ages very well, quite frankly. And then Sean O'Malley knocking out Julianna Paiva. It looked like Paiva was giving him a little bit of trouble early, but
I thought so.
But O'Malley did a good job of finding that open side counter, and he's just, he shouted out Canelo afterwards. I thought Paiva could be a difficult matchup for him, just what he was able to do to Kyler Phillip, how difficult he was. But
yeah,
I just feel like O'Malley is too lanky, not too lanky, but is so lanky for this division that like he's gonna give a lot of guys problems.
And has power too. And has power. And has the power too.
Knockout power as well. Yeah, I thought Paiva. I agree with Stefano. Paiva was doing a good job, like kind of feinting and also like a little bit of head movement too. It was a little bit unorthodox, but O'Malley's the king of unorthodox, and eventually he got him. Like he only really needed like 2 or 3 clean strikes to get him. Before that, I would say it was kind of an even fight, if I'm being honest. O'Malley, great use of feints as always. Just switching stances, like you just did what O'Malley does really. So yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing. I would not mind seeing O'Malley in against if he wants to take a step up in competition. Maybe like what's his name? No, I'd like to see him against what's his name? He just fought in the title against Jan.
Sanhagen.
Give him Sanhagen. Tall, lanky strikers.
Right away?
Look, it's a big step, but I'm just saying, like, I would like to see it happen for the sake of fun.
No, I see what you're saying. Like, switch stances, tall and lanky for the division. One guy's more of a power guy, where the other guy's more predicated on footwork.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that clash of styles.
I'm looking at this ranking, and there's a bunch of guys that will give him problems. Let's got TJ Dillashaw, Jose Aldo,
Rob Font,
Merab.
Merab would eat him alive.
I think Merab's the nightmare matchup for him, just stylistically. Unfortunately, respectfully. And I think TJ is not a great matchup for him either, just with his ability to mobilize his wrestling. I think that Sanhagen has developed those deterrents in his game where he is really able to use his jiu-jitsu and leg locks offensively to prevent the threat of the wrestling. But to my knowledge, I haven't seen anything similar in O'Malley's game, although he is quite a skilled striker.
I like O'Malley. I'm just, I don't know about Merab. Like,
yeah. I mean, he's ranked number 12.
O'Malley?
According to Topology, he's currently ranked number 12. And then the 3 people directly above him are Marlon Moraes in number 11, Marlon Vera in number 10, and then Pedro Munoz in number 9, all of which are coming. Actually, Cheeto's coming off 2 wins, but.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do the Cheeto rematch. Remix, baby.
I'm not interested in it, the Cheeto rematch, to be honest with you. But that's just me. I don't know. It doesn't get me excited.
That's fair. Okay, another fight, couple last fights that I wanted to talk about. Josh Emmett versus Danny Ige. What a fight.
I think Danny Ige getting robbed, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see how.
Me too. Okay, I thought I was the only one in that. Okay, thank you.
I can see how people felt Ige won that, especially because of how dominant that second round is. The 30-27 card is
disgraceful.
just insane.
Disgraceful.
Like
bizarre. I came out of that fight thinking, like, there's no way that this is anything other than a draw if you score that first round at 10-8, which is doubtful. Or
There's no way that was a 10-8. No way.
No.
But I honestly thought, like, that last round, like, I could see how you can give it to Emmett because of his activity. He kind of picked up the pace a little bit more, was landing better shots.
But you know, Stefano, we've always had this argument about inefficiency and how much that matters in fighting. Mm-hmm. Do you see why I have the argument after looking at the way Josh Emmett fights? Like,
but Josh Emmett's a bit different. Like, I'll say that this was interesting to me because they're two very, very different approaches to boxing, striking, and switch stances, right? Ige is a very classical boxer, you know, kind of like more weight on his lead leg, making use of just very tight, straight punches. His hooks come in at a perfect 90-degree arc.
Jab.
When his jab's beautiful. When Ige switches stances, it's like he's one stance or the other. He's working out of one stance or the other. Now, Emmett has a very different approach to the game. Wide swinging punches. He uses stance switching mid-combination as opposed to Ige, who uses it, I'm in one stance or the other, and I'll work different things out of others. Whereas Josh Emmett is switching stances in the middle of a combination so that he's getting an angle on you, kind of TJ Dillashaw style. And both interesting fighters. Josh Emmett looks like a shaved chimpanzee. He's probably ridiculously strong. But, you know, I had Ige winning.
Yeah. I don't know. I can see it go both ways personally. But in real time, Ige kind of felt like the winner on that one. And it's a shame because I liked Emmett, the way Emmett looked in that first round, because he looked, as he said, crazy strong. His boxing looked nice as well. Okay. And also, quick shout out to Silva versus, what's his name? B. Silva? I can't remember his first name. The Brazilian guy who knocked
Bruno
out
Silva.
Bruno knocked out the California Ninja.
Beverly Hills Ninja. Yeah. Sorry, David, go on.
Beverly Hills Ninja. Yeah. Sorry.
I just want to say, I am, as time goes on, I am less and less of a fan of the Thai clinch. I'm just like last week we saw Luis Smolka slapping onto Thai clinch and getting knocked out, and then this week we saw the exact same thing with Jordan Wright and Bruno Silva. I'm just like, unless you're really just cracking their spine down and bending them over, you know, like curving their spine to the degree where they can't effectively throw punches, you're just putting your head above theirs for them to just, you know,
but you know what?
The problem is guys aren't doing it properly.
I was gonna say it's fundamentals though. Why are you slapping on the Thai clinch and you're treating it like you're a Christian at a prom dance? Like, you know,
Christian Yoboa went to prom.
Get dirty with it.
I didn't know Christian Yoboa had a date.
Are you changing the angle?
Like you get what I'm trying to say though. Like you're at like the 6th grade high school dance and your arms are like this. In your Thai clinch, get in there.
And you don't just like...
I know what you mean. Good. That's funny, by the way. I like that. I'm not laughing yet, but I did.
Okay, and then finally, Nunes versus Anders. Eric Anders dropping down a weight class.
Nunes is a monster, man. He's just making it look easy against these guys.
That was nice. The way he slapped that armbar in was really nice.
I'm liking how he sets it up where what he'll do essentially is he'll like overhook the arm from the back. Whereas the way I was told to do it, the way that, like, let's say Minotauro Nogueira used to do the armbar from the back, which was a big part of his arsenal back in the day, is he'd kind of like grab like a Kimura grip on that side, or the way Verdum would set it up as well, like a Kimura grip and throw the leg over. Where often what you'll see is the person being able to pull their arm out because the legs aren't tight, but that overhook grip makes it so that when you throw the legs over, the arm is already extended. You know, you don't have to pull your legs to extend the arm. It's already there. And I like that little detail.
It's interesting because it almost like gets more higher on the hip, on the elbow, and it allows Nunes to kind of work his way up, like almost like from his seat of his pants, right?
Yeah. So. And then I'm just going to quickly mention, because there's one main card fight we didn't mention, Jeff Neal Ponzinibbio, and I know Mike's a big fan of both of these guys. I think that this was a close fight, a great fight that could have gone either way. And, you know, both, I think Jeff Neal is going to be hurt by a lack of volume in the future, but I think that he can crack, and I love how I love his high kick. I would have liked to have seen him throw that up more. Ponzinibbio chronically dips his head when he's throwing. Ponzinibbio doing a good job of volume, throwing that inside low kick. Just a fun little fight, but I like the upside for both of these guys. I would like to see Jeff Neal throw more and throw more to the leg.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Ponzinibbio, at least pre
blood infection, bone infection, a bone infection.
Jesus, like how, like, but one thing I really did like was the adjustment Ponzinibbio did make to go and cross right cross, left hook, because he was getting kind of turned around and repeatedly kept giving up outside position on that lead foot. So what he would do is he would go cross, knowing that it's going to miss because he doesn't have the angle. But then knowing that Neal's going to step deep to the outside, crack him with that left hook coming on that right side. And one thing I liked about Jeff Neal is that he would just consistently know that Ponzinibbio is going to kind of outstretch the hand, which a couple times he did get in trouble for. So it's not like all that. So he would feint coming inside, step a little to the right, and then come in with another left in a double cross, especially in the third round where he did that consistently. So I really, just a couple small little things for both of my favorites a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, big upside for both of these guys in that they're interesting fighters who, if they keep making their way up the rankings, could find themselves in a title shot. God knows we're out of options at 170 anyways, right?
Yeah.
David's over here like Leon Edwards.
He's gonna get the next title shot
for sure. So
don't worry.
Dana said Dana recently said at a press conference he's not getting a title shot next.
Really? Oh, that's a mistake. What's see? This is my problem. All right, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, I just want to say. So yeah, at this time where we're about to wrap it up, I just want to say, keep your eyes open, keep your eyes on the feed. We have a Christmas, end of year, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, non-denominational leg kick podcast. Best of us for the rest of us. 2021, closing out the year special. We're going to be talking about our favorites from the year. We're going to be talking about our least favorites from the year. We're going to have an award ceremony. We're going to discuss our awards. It's going to be fun. Mike's going to inject heroin live on air. As for me and David, we're going to enjoy a nice Guinness. And Mike's going to inject. The
person who doesn't drink has to inject heroin.
Mike's going to inject black tar heroin. It's the only way to go. So stay tuned for the Christmas spectacular.
All right. Well,
our gift to you, Mike. May I?
Sure.
Please.
I just want to say, in this crazy mixed up world where Mike's dressed like Spinelli from Recess.
Like a hood version of Spinelli.
Wow. I had to say that, Mike. Jesus. Miss Finster.
Wrong person, but okay.
I know that's Randall. I'm Randall to your Spinelli, Mike. Well, I am going to be back in studio soon, and we've got some big announcements.
Well, see. Yeah. Come in this week, so.
Oh, you're coming back? You're coming back?
Literally 2 days.
David, how long are you going to be here? We'll talk about this off air real quickly. Stick around for 5 minutes. Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, subscribe, like the podcast, share it to your friends. Lobby the government to make sure that the leg kick is mandatory and a mandatory form of nationalist patriotic education and is streamed live every morning. And along with your 15 minutes of mandatory exercise in front of the telecomputer screen, the original Rule 1984 title you have to play. Goodbye, everybody.